Let's say you do a deal for 200,000. Well, I mean, even if you buy something for 80% of value, you've locked in a net profit that's quite healthy. And so as you go up in the value change, the formula changes a little bit. But we started out really small. Like we were buying less than $5,000 our cost type properties and flipping them. Even some less than $1,000. We've traded in a bunch of properties that way. But the fact is, as with a lot of things in business, it's the same amount of work to do those little deals, and they cause you the most trouble than it is to go up in value and deal with better properties, better sellers, even better buyers. You can leverage a realtor, you can leverage a title company, where down, in these low value deals, the margins are thinner, and you just can't eat into those costs. And so it's much easier to go up the value change.
And hello, my friends, and welcome on board. My name is Derrick Fennell, and I'm your host on the Next Gen podcast. And you're right on time for takeoff, so take your seats, fasten your seatbelts, and sit back and enjoy the flight on the Next Gen podcast. Welcome on board. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Next Gen Podcast 1, where we unpack real business models, rethinking, and real paths to cash flow and freedom. I'm your host, Derrick Fennell, and before we jump in, I want to ask you to like, subscribe, and share this episode. And here's why that matters. When you like and subscribe, platforms like YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify recognize this conversation as valuable, and they show it to more people who are actively searching for smarter ways to build income. And when you share it, you help someone else shortcut years of trial and error. And today's guest is someone who has built a business around simplicity and clarity. Two things we talk about a lot on this show. Mike Deaton is the founder of Flipping Dirt, a business that teaches people how to create cash flow by flipping land without tenants, renovations, or complicated structures. Mike, welcome to Next Gen Podcast 1. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing great, Derrick. Thanks so much for having me on.
We're glad to have you. So, Mike, we're going to jump right in. So, Mike, take us back. What was going on in your life when you first discovered flipping land?
Sure. I spent probably 25 years in corporate America, just out of college, got a job with tech companies. I spent a lot of time really in supply chain and operations. So just doing a lot of systems and building sometimes complex systems and sometimes simplifying them. But that was my career until 2016. And throughout that stretch of time period, I led large teams and had to unfortunately go through downsizing periods where I had to let people go. I successfully dodged them personally up until 2016 when my number finally came up, and I was part of a layoff. I was working with Microsoft at the time, and I was living in Dallas-Fort Worth with my wife. And really, Microsoft's based in Washington, the West Coast, and close to the Seattle area. And really, for me to go anywhere with Microsoft at the level I was going to need to go and relocate and be there at headquarters. And so I kind of took a voluntary package and left the corporate world. And, in that time period, my immediate reaction was to get another job. And so I started working recruiters, my network, looking at different aspects of going about to get another job. And for me, that was likely going to be another big tech company. It was like Apple, Tesla, Amazon. That time period wasn't a bad one, and there were jobs available, but they were all West Coast based. They were going to be relocations required. At my level at the time, I was running an international team. It was going to most likely be something like that required. I was traveling almost half of every month, visiting different sites, going to corporate headquarters. And that whole process just really was leaving a bad feeling in my stomach in terms of, one, trying to get hired on by another company is just not fun at all anyway, right? Going through the process, selling yourself and doing all this stuff. But then I was worried about what kind of company culture was I going to get in? Was it going to be, Microsoft was especially in the operations department, it was a very performance-driven department. What have you done for me lately? And so it was just go all the time. And my wife and I, And so my wife and I really took that moment. She also got let go from her job in the same time period. And so we were both out of work and we didn't have any other income source. And so we had means, and it wasn't a dire situation, but it's anxiety ridden when you're in that situation. And but fortunately, we took a time to pause and think about what did we want out of the next chapter of our lives. And we did some values exercises where we sat down and teased out what were our core values. We went through a ranking exercise. My wife and I met actually at work, and we worked in the same office environment for about 3 years. And we loved it. We got to drive to work together. We had lunches together. We really enjoyed that time of life. And so we wanted more of that. We wanted more of, time together in that time period when I was probably mid-40s when all that was going on. Okay. And, we wanted to be able to do things together while we still could and, enjoy them to the fullest. And so we decided to look into business ideas, entrepreneurship. And we had recently, or at least I had recently reread Robert Kiyosaki's book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And it's, a fundamental book to a lot of, especially in real estate. A lot of people have read that, but it awakened this desire to get on to the investor and the business owner side of the cash flow quadrant, as he calls it, where, you have the poor dad mindset, which I jumped into right out of school, and more of his rich dad mindset, where you're a business owner, investor, and you're putting your money to work. And so that had awakened in us. And in that process, and through podcasts just like this, I had heard someone that was in land flipping. And then I heard another podcast with someone that was in land flipping not too far on the back of that. And that sparked an interest and a curiosity such that I bought a toolkit that explained how the business worked. And at the time I was working. And so this was maybe 2014. And I didn't do anything with that toolkit. Like, it came in the mail. And back then it was a binder full of a bunch of papers that you flip through with sections. It had some DVDs in it that, we actually had DVDs you could plug into the computer at the time. But I really didn't do anything with it. And so, in that moment, fast forward into 2016, we decided to look at that. And so we cracked it open and it sounded appealing. It sounded doable. It was a real estate model that, land is such a flexible asset class. You don't have to anyway. You don't have to spend tens of thousands of dollars to put a down payment on a property, or you don't have to hire property managers or handymen or, all the things that come along with houses or apartments or even self-storage units and other classes that we were looking at. And so we decided to give land a go, and we plugged ourselves into a community. We went to a weekend boot camp and surrounded ourselves with people that were doing it, but also interested in it. And we kind of got some proof that this could work. There were people doing it and making a living. And so we just went all in. And so at the end of 2016, right at the beginning of 2017, we decided to carve out some seed capital. We gave ourselves a 12-month runway to learn and ramp a business and assess and see, is this going to be a viable way of life? And fast forward 10 years now, it's been our bread and butter, and it's really given us a life that I didn't quite imagine at the time, but it's been a beautiful journey.
Okay. So now in that 12-month runway that you just spoke of, when did you realize that land flipping was the deal? Like, when did that aha moment, like, we're going to go with this?
Yeah. So right at the beginning of 2017, we signed up for a coaching program and we plugged in, like I said, to a community. And the first, I would say 2 months to 3 months was just heavy ingestion of material, learning, buying concepts. It was like drinking through a fire hose, and it was really laying a foundation to get our business going.
Yeah.
It took us another, I would say 3 months to really exercise the process end to end, to get a property, to market it and resell it. And in that July, August timeframe, we did a deal, and we saw that we could better than double our money in a short amount of time. And quickly after that, things really built momentum. And so in the fall of 2017, I would say was really when we saw this can work. And yeah, things just snowballed from there. And we haven't looked back since, honestly. I mean, we've built our revenue every year from that point on. And it's just kind of been an easy, I don't want to say easy. It's a simple business model. It's definitely not easy. I mean, you have to apply some logic and some work and capital and do some things. But relative to other businesses, it's been a great lifestyle promoter, but it took us a while. We were in a group of peers that were also ramping their business. There were people going much faster. They were having success, and we would look over and be like, what's going on with us? Why can't we sell a property? And so we had to pull ourselves through a little bit of turbulence to get there. But once we kind of figured out the formula on the sales side of things really ramped up. So I would say, it definitely wasn't an overnight success story, but it was pretty quick. And it took us 7-8 months to get proof of concept anyway.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing already is something invisible, like most people miss. So it sounds as if you had some real clarity around what you wanted and what you didn't. And that clarity seemed foundational. For someone brand new, how would you explain flipping in dirt in plain language?
Yeah, at its very simplest level, it's buying land and then reselling it. And on the buy side, we only buy property that we can get for, let's say, 35 or 40 cents on the dollar. And so we're looking for deep discounts. And we do that by direct marketing to landowners. And so we'll send out 1,000, typically it's US mail letters. We'll send out 1,000 letters or postcards or something that asks landowners if they would be interested in selling their land. We typically make an offer, and it's usually 35% or 40% of market value. There's maybe 1% of people will take it. And it's just, it's enough with the margins to be really healthy. And so that's, at its simplest level, that's what it's all about. And you could keep it that simple. There are, as with every business, there's ways to add complexity and to do different styles and different business models. And we've tried many of them, but we keep it as simple as possible because we like to do a lot of things with our free time.
Okay. So now, is that just done in a local market, or is that a national market that you're targeting? How does that work?
It's a great question, and it's one I get often because for a lot of real estate, people think it has to be close to you. Like you have to be able to go inspect the property or to know the market. In land, it's quite different. It's you can do this anywhere. You can do it from anywhere. And so you don't really need boots on the ground, or you don't need to be able to see properties in your backyard. We do a lot of deals nationwide. We do a lot of deals here in Colorado where we live, but it's really because we just love the land and it resonates with us a lot more. But we do a lot of business in the Southwest primarily. We'll do Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, a little bit in Nevada and Utah. But we have clients that we work with, and the clients work anywhere, from the Southeast to the Northwest and everywhere in between.
Okay. So what are some of the parameters that you look for that's like this? I know you said 35%, 40% loan to value, right? Typically what you research on. Like, what's the threshold? Is it like, will you not go above that 40%, or?
It depends on the size of the deal. When I speak to that formula and that ratio, that's really appropriate for, let's say, a property with a retail value of maybe $75,000 or less. Once you start getting up above, something that costs $75,000 or six figures, you're not going to find somebody that's just willing to sell their property for 30, 40 cents on the dollar. It gets really, really hard, but you don't need it. I mean, if you think about, let's say you do a deal for $200,000. Well, I mean, even if you buy something for 80% of value, you've locked in a net profit that's quite healthy. And so as you go up in the value change, the formula changes a little bit. But we started out really small. Like we were buying less than $5,000 our cost type properties and flipping them. Even some less than $1,000. We've traded in a bunch of properties that way. But the fact is, as with a lot of things in business, it's the same amount of work to do those little deals, and they cause you the most trouble than it is to go up in value and deal with better properties, better sellers, even better buyers. You can leverage a realtor, you can leverage a title company, where down, in these low value deals, the margins are thinner, and you just can't eat into those costs. And so it's much easier to go up the value chain. Also, we're making 100% plus return on our investment. And so even if you want to apply, if you don't want to use your own capital, you can use, leverage and debt, however you want to do it, private, institutional, partnerships. Even if it's 10 or even if it's 15% on a note, it really is inconsequential relative to the return that you're going to make on this. So it's a great business model to tap into capital and things like that. But
I'm going to have to look into this.
It's great. I tell you what, once you do it, you'll get hooked. It's very addicting. I mean, those first few deals we did, it was like, we made how much money? It's just, it's, and for what kind of work?
Now, so the people that you're flipping to, are they developers or, who are you flipping them to?
It can be. In our personal business, we do a lot just in consumers like you, or we deal with a lot of residential type properties, rural properties. And so it's people that just want some land. They might want to build on it. Most likely they want to camp. We've sold some hunting type properties that are bigger in acreage. But there are that's one of the first things we do when we work with clients is we sit down and we say, hey, what's your goal? How many resources do you have to work with in terms of time and money? And then we go after a market or a sub-market. And if you're looking at, let's just take Florida or even California, for instance, there's pockets where there's subdivisions that are not built out. People will put in a whole subdivision, and there are people that will go after more infill lots or residential properties. And in that condition, it is great when you can tap into developers or home builders. They'll give you exactly their parameters, and then what kind of margins you're dealing with whenever you're buying a property. You can decide it's a good deal or not deal. And so there are different strategies, and that is a good one for particular market niches.
Right.
We don't deal with a lot of commercial properties too much. Commercial's kind of a different animal.
Yeah.
There are some people that will sell commercial properties for low dollar, but it's going to be in a smaller area or, an outlying, and it's going to be a tougher resale. You're not going to get Austin, Texas, or some major metro commercial type properties.
So let me ask you this: when you're flipping that land property, are you taking actual ownership of the property, or are you just putting it under contract and flipping the contract?
You can do either. Our business model since we started has been just to buy the property and resell it. We usually turn them pretty quickly. We're talking 8 weeks, maybe 12 weeks. And so we keep our capital moving. But just like in the home industry, there are ways to do exactly what you described. You can put an option on it and find a buyer before you take ownership. You can arbitrage a little bit where you don't even extend any capital. It becomes a little more of a hustle business in that case. You have to get timing coordinated and a buyer and seller. But it's very doable. And we have a lot of people that come to us with limited funds, and that's a good way to get started.
So let me ask you this. When you take ownership of the property, do you have to worry about seasoning of ownership because you're selling it at a much higher price than what you just bought it for in just a few weeks ago? You're not improving the land or anything like that. How do you get around that seasoning of ownership kind of, like in the residential thing?
Yeah, it hasn't been a problem. People don't really look at how long you've owned something. Every once in a while, somebody will look and see you bought how they'll be like, we're selling a $30,000 property, and they'll see we bought it for 10, and they'll be like, hey, you know what? But
like when you go to the bank, if they're going to a bank to get a loan, unless they're paying cash for it. But if they got to get financing to buy that property, typically the bank may ask them about seasoning of owner,
we haven't had that. We haven't had that issue. We haven't had that issue. And
this
brings up a good point. A lot of the deals that we sell, We probably do 80% of our own personal business will owner finance. And so people, because it's hard to get loans for land a lot of times.
Yeah, that
and
makes
that opens
sense.
up our buying pool
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
But, cash deals are nice too.
Okay. So now, why is land such an overlooked asset compared to, say, like houses or apartments?
Yeah, it just hasn't really caught wind yet, I don't think, in the public. And it's such a obscure business model. It's not glamorous either. There are no Netflix specials about buying and selling vacant land. It's just because there's nothing there like it is that you go and have a demo day and a renovation or things like that. And so it's just not as popularized. It's gaining. 10 years ago when we started versus now, there's more people doing land. But it's still a fraction of house flippers or short-term rentals or things like that. It's not anything really that people think about in terms of business model.
So could you walk us through what a typical transaction or deal would look like, finding land to getting paid?
Sure. Yeah. So one of the first things we do after we define a strategy is find a market and a submarket. We have a framework that we use to help narrow down the optimal markets, right? And so it depends on how much you're willing to invest. If you only have $5,000, well, there's markets where you're going to find more available properties than if you have $50,000. And so that starts to steer us into a good market. Beyond that, we look for a good supply and demand dynamics. So we want to see our properties selling. Is inventory turning? How quickly, how many days on market on average are things being held? And so that starts to narrow the field down. Once we've picked a market or two or three, a lot of times there'll be a short list and you just have to start testing markets. We'll send out a campaign. And so the county of record is the steward of all the owners, and right, the county knows who you are because they're sending you a tax bill. And so we usually get records either from the county direct, or there are dozens of third-party vendors that get all that information and put it into a more user-friendly format. And so we'll download maybe 10,000 names in a market, or 5,000 names. And then we'll start sending out campaigns. Usually that's direct mail. We'll send out letters. We like to give you an offer. We'll say, hey, we'll give you $5,000 for your property or whatever. A lot of people like to just softly gauge interest. Hey, would you be interested in selling your property? Give me a call. Just different ways to go about it. You're going to get more leads, but they're going to kind of be tire kickers, or they're going to be mad when they figure out you're not willing to pay top dollar. Once we get some accepted offers, we go through a due diligence phase. It's not super complicated with land. When we started out, we were very picky and overcomplicated. Now, we'll buy almost anything beyond a few deal breakers, like it needs to have legal and physical access, not be a landlocked property. The title needs to be pretty clean, which a lot of times we're going through as a title company. They'll do all that work. And then the tax, or sometimes there's back taxes or HOA dues that have accumulated. We'll even cover that. A lot of times that's a leverage point. If somebody's gotten behind on taxes, we'll cover your taxes. We'll give you a little bit of money in your pocket. You'll be out clean. And so we'll take ownership of the property. After that, it becomes marketing and sales. A lot of times we'll leverage a realtor if the deal's good, and we'll let them kind of do the heavy lift and earn their commission. But land is good on alternative channels like Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist. There are paid sites that you can put just land, like land.com. So there's a lot of different avenues and channels that you can work actively. And then, as I mentioned, the two broad ways of reselling are just a pure transactional cash deal, or like we do, we owner finance a lot. And that's the way that, over the years, we've kind of built up a passive income stream. And so now we know we have a certain amount of income 4, 5, 6, 7 years in the future. And it allows us a lot more freedom to be more creative in our business. Or my wife's from Europe. We'll go usually every spring and spend 6 weeks visiting her family, and the business runs and all that stuff. And so if we sell on owner financing, if it's possible, most states allow this. We typically do a deed for contract type situation where we maintain ownership until somebody's fully paid off the property. And that
Okay.
avoids any messy foreclosures
yeah.
or evictions or anything like that. And so
Okay.
it's just a real
Okay.
clean, we send them a contract termination notice and stuff. So that's kind of the mid-level process flow from.
Now, how long does that process take from start to finish? Is that like
In its best case, it's probably going to take 8 to 10 weeks. By the time, it takes, I would say, 4 weeks, typically when we're working with a client. Week 1 is about defining their strategy. The second week is about picking a market. And then the third and fourth week are about getting some offers out. So evaluating some comps, getting things set up and sending that out. Once offers are out, usually if you send out, let's say 1,000 offers, you'll get 1 or 2 quick ones back if you've done the process right. And then over 2 or 3 weeks, a bulk will start to come back. And then you have a long tail of people that, may hold onto your lip for a bit. Then the sales cycle, that's where things get a little more uncertain. It just really depends on where you are, how quickly inventory is moving, how aggressively you choose to market or not, those kind of things. Our fastest deal has been 6 or 7 weeks. Our average deals are usually 8 to 10 weeks. We've held some bigger properties almost a year, maybe 11 months, I think is our longest deal. And it was like a 100-acre property and took us a while to find the right buyer. But that's kind of the typical window. So you're cycling your money 2 or 3 times in a year.
Okay. Now, what's the biggest mistake that you find beginners make when flipping land?
I don't know if it's a mistake, but the biggest sticky point is really just decision making. And that's where having a coach or a group helps, because it can be overwhelming to think about a market. I mean, there's hundreds of counties across the US. Each of those counties has multiple little sub-markets in it. And that's just where people get a little overwhelmed. And that's where some seasoned help can help steer somebody in the right direction. When we started, we went through like 5 different counties before we found one that really clicked. And we could have used better guidance. Outside of that, real mistakes is really just in due diligence. If you get a property and you miss, let's say it has a lien on it or back taxes or something, and that's where title companies can really be advantageous. But for a lot of clients, if they're working in these smaller value properties, sometimes, you can't really engage a title company, but you can hire abstractors for hourly work. There are sites. We have a checklist of the county has a lot of the records there. Those are kind of the biggest things. I mean, we're coming up. This is our 10th year in business, and we've done almost 1,000 land deals, and we have never lost money on a land deal. And that's just the nature, because we're only buying it so deeply below market value that we can make mistakes. We bought a property a few months back here in a small town in Colorado. It was kind of an infill lot. We don't typically do a lot of infill lots, but this one was a great deal. Well, after we closed, we figured out that there was an easement, a particular type of drainage easement that was running through that theoretically made it not buildable. And we panicked. We were like, oh my God, this is going to be the first one that we end up taking a loss on. And we worked through it. We called a few people in the city planning department. They told us, oh yeah, all you have to do is this. There was somebody in town who wanted that lot, a developer, and it all worked out. We better than doubled our money on the deal. But just because the margins are so big, there's a lot of room, and this can be a bad thing. There's a lot of room to run an inefficient business if you want.
Okay. But that kind of went right into my next question, which was, which mistakes are invisible at first, but become expensive later on the back end.
Yeah, it's those kind of things really that eat into your margin, right? If you miss taxes or lien, especially, that eats into your margin. If you, I would say the biggest thing that could happen would be if you miscalculate your market value, then you're buying at the wrong price. And so that can really turn around on the resale and kind of mess things up. Land is not so, it doesn't fluctuate as much as home prices, where things are really dependent on next door comps or a neighborhood comp or things like that. I mean, land moves a little more slowly, especially to the downside. It can accelerate on the upside if you get in a zone where some kind of activity is happening, right? If you get in a path of growth, or there's a county next to us here that we do a lot of business in. And Denver, or a suburb of Denver, has a water project, and they just started snatching up all the properties that they could get in this particular zone. And we've sold a bunch of deals to them at like a premium price. And so there's, there are ways to do that. It's, typically your developers and really wealthy people have an inside track to things like that. And so they're going to beat most people to the punch.
So like when you're looking at these deals and you're trying to determine what their value, do you pay for an appraisal up front, or do you just go to how do you manage that process?
Yeah, it's a good question. We do not get appraisals. What we do is our first and best source is if there is actual sales data. And so a lot of counties will have downloadable sales histories. You can pull the last 6 months or 12 months worth of data. A second tier of that would be like to go to Zillow or some other site where you can filter and toggle by sold properties and just grab the data. We actually we have some AI prompts that help with this. Like we'll put an AI agent out and send it to gather and do exactly as I'm describing. There are some states and markets where they're called non-disclosure states and they don't publish the sales information. In that case, you just look at listings. And so obviously the fresher the listing, the better. And so you can look at, if you're looking at 1 acre properties or 5 acre properties, you can get a comp and kind of zone out in a certain area and build a pretty easy, it's nothing too, if you get 30 to 50 comparable properties, you can dial in a number pretty easily. There's some nuance. You get into statistics here where this market that's next to us, there's a decent amount of land flippers working in the market. And so if you pull the data and you chart it or you look at it, you'll see 2 pockets, right? You'll see these sales that are happening where people are buying at 30 or 40% of value. And then there's the retail pool of things. And so if you don't know that necessarily, your average might get watered down. You'll either buy properties a little bit more, you'll pay a bit more for them, or you'll resell them a little cheaply. It's not a big deal, but there's some nuance once you get down there. But that's our process typically for going into a market and evaluating what are other similar properties going for. Obviously, if you're buying 100-acre properties or something, you need to look at 80 to 120-acre properties versus if you're buying in a neighborhood and they have 1/8 of an acre or 1/4 acre properties, you want to look at similar, like for like, a true comp. But yeah, we don't usually go the appraisal route in land. It's just not really necessary.
So do you require? It's a 2-part question. Do you require a real estate license? And if you don't require it, would you find it beneficial to have a real estate license if you don't have to have it, or do you prefer not to have it?
Yeah, great question. It doesn't require, the way we run the business model, no real estate license required. So a real estate license really gives you the right to broker between a seller and a buyer.
Okay.
And because we're buying the property and then reselling it as our own property, we're not brokering any deals. And so it's a really clean transaction. We don't need a license. Some of the models that you touched on earlier, where you're putting something under contract, you get into a gray area there in some states. Some states are more lenient than others. And so that's where you really got to know your market if you're doing a more exotic strategy. And then if you were to have one, it is advantageous. You have access to the MLS. You can put properties on there. That's a great marketplace. We typically get there by leveraging a realtor, right? And so we're going to pay a commission. You can also save some of those costs if you have that and are able to get on the MLS. But that would be the biggest advantage. Also, there are certain tools that come obviously with a lot of real estate, being able to run comps, look at days on market and all that kind of stuff. Definitely you could gain a little bit of a competitive advantage by having a license.
Yeah. So who would this type of business be best suited for?
This business is great for anyone, honestly. We deal with a lot of professionals that want to either transition out of their job or they want just some extra income, because you can scale this really very easily to thousands of dollars a month in very little amount of additional time. I mean, we're talking 5 hours a week is a lot in this business, other than the first few weeks when you're starting up and learning and kind of dialing in your market. But beyond that, I mean, it doesn't require a whole lot. On top of that, even if you are busy, there's a lot of ways to automate and outsource. There are specific assistants that work in the land industry, and so there's ways to plug into that. So we deal with a lot of professionals. That's kind of our focus point. But I also work with people that have retired and they want income, or they just want to be busy. They want to feel like they're doing something. This is a great business because you can do it from anywhere. You can visit your grandkids. You can take your laptop, do some things there. You can go out of the country and work on it. And you can generate a lot of great income, or you can just generate a little bit. Like it's super scalable and flexible as to however you want it. So those are our most common people that we're working with, but it really is suitable for just so many people. I mean, it's nice if you have some means, especially if you have a salary coming in and you're able to continue. That's the way we did it. We didn't have a salary coming in, but we did a lot of these owner finance deals because I wanted the security of known income coming in. Cash deals are sporadic, and it's not my nature to be comfortable with that. Some people are very comfortable with it, but it's not me.
Okay. Okay. Now you're also the author of a book called Flipping Land, or Land Flipping, right?
You're close. Flipping Dirt.
Flipping Dirt. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
Talk to us about your book and how it would be beneficial for our viewers to.
Sure, Derrick. The book is great. So I wanted a way to tell our story and really expose people to land and the power of the land flipping model. And so the book interweaves our story, how we got started, our process of ramping up, some of the deals we've done, and it also talks step by step through the process at a certain level to give somebody a good feel for what this business involves. I don't think you're going to pick up the book and be able to start your own business. You probably could get close. But it just really walks through the process with a little bit of the storyline, and it's a quick read. It was a passion project. It was a lot of fun. I'm in the process of doing a couple more. This particular book really talks about our business model of buying and selling the properties. I'm working on one right now that's, how to flip land with little to no money. And so all the strategies that we were touching on earlier, there's a few more. I talk to so many people who don't really have means and want to get started. And there are several good strategies for that. So working on that as a follow-up. But yeah, it was a fun project and a kind of a way to expose more people to this beautiful business model.
Wow, that's awesome. I think that's great. Now, one thing we teach at Creative Minds AI is that most people don't struggle because of effort. They struggle because of unclear thinking. And Mike, how important is clarity before someone ever buys land?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, you're buying an asset, a physical asset, and you can, as I mentioned, buy it for $500 or $1,000, which to some people that is a lot of money, and for the people that are buying that property, that is also a lot of money. But as you go up in scale, there's a lot of risk. Land less than most. However, this is exactly why we walk through a framework. We have a framework we call the DIRT framework, and it's define your strategy and your buy box, as we call it. What kind of property can you afford? Identify the market, reach out to the right owners, and then transact. And so it's a way to distill the process down into very tangible, clear steps so that you have that clarity and you know what type of properties you're going after, who are you going to market it to, how are you going to resell it, which different ways. And so it is important. I've talked to a lot of people who come to me after the fact and have bought properties. And, unfortunately, they got in either in a bad market or at a tough price point. And there's ways to make it work. We can usually get them out of a jam and kind of figure out how to do things. But yeah, it's a lot tougher if you don't have that clarity going into it.
Okay.
For sure, as with most things, like you said.
Yeah. Now, for listeners who feel this model fits them, What's the best next step that they should do?
Well, I would say I'm happy to talk to anybody. I would set up a call and we can discuss a little more about the specifics of a person's situation. And if you go, we have a website, flippingdirt.us. And if you go to flippingdirt.us/freedom, there's a way to book a call, but there's also some other literature if you want. The book, access to the book, a couple of starter guides that talk a little bit more about the process. There's different ways to enter the ecosystem, either setting up a call, which is a great way just to talk through some things, but also passively if people just want to get a little bit more information. So if they just go to flippingdirt.us/freedom, there's a few different ways to get started.
Okay. Now, what makes Flipping Dirt different from other real estate education programs?
Great question. So my wife and I, we've been doing this for a little over 2 years, and we had people asking us to help them. And we thought long and hard before we did it because there are other programs out there. We went through a program when we started. The issue is there tends to be two different styles. There's one is more of a big box education platform. You're going to be one of a lot of people in a classroom and typically you coach with hired coaches that aren't really the people doing the business.
Right.
And so you're not going to really get the hands-on understanding of running the business from those types of coaches. Beyond that, others are purely more informational, where you digest information and you don't necessarily get the coaching. My background is a lot of mindset and life coaching as well. And so I bring a lot of, this is what we yearned for when we went through our program, was somebody to bring the softer skills out of us, because we came from a professional environment to entrepreneurship and it was hard. Like it was different than somebody telling you what your tasks are going to be. You're responsible for kind of doing all this stuff. Thankfully, I have strategy and operations background and was able to do a lot of that. But there's a lot of mental, there's ups and downs. And so somebody that can help you be accountable, encourage you, figure out your learning style. That's what we try to bring into our program is we work directly with everybody and work through all those issues. And so it's a little more of a personal touch. We stay small because of it, but that's just the way we choose to run our business.
Okay, so Mike, if you wanted to leave our viewers with one important must-know nugget from this whole conversation, what would it be?
You know, I would circle back to the beginning of our conversation, and I would say how important it is to take the time to map out what is important to you. I think a lot of your viewers are later in life like me. I mean, I'm 57. I've kind of been there, but I love giving value back. And that whole exercise of mapping out my core values, my wife and I did, we mapped out what our perfect day looked like, wrote it down, and that vision gave us clarity on what we wanted. I mean, we live in such an amazing time right now with so much technology and opportunity and ability to do almost anything you want and monetize it. That it really is important that you talked about it a minute ago, clarity, having your own personal clarity of what you want out of life, and then figuring out what is going to best enable that is beyond whatever vocation or personal pursuit you want to do. I think that's fundamental to get started.
I totally agree with you. It's just like, a lot of people are so caught up into the AI marketplace, and everybody's selling a tool, but you got to know what you want the tool to do.
Right.
You got to know what it will do for you.
Yes.
Will it free you more time? Will it make you more income? What does the tool do for you? Is it worth it? You know what I mean? So
100%.
So clarity is very important, I think. So I got one last final question for you. Are you a coffee drinker or a tea drinker?
I'm a tea drinker, Derrick. I have I have a bowl of nice black tea next to me. I've never drunk coffee. It just didn't ever really appeal to it. My wife, Lygia, on the other hand, she is a coffee fanatic. So we spend every morning with each other, and she has her coffee, and I have my tea.
That's awesome, man.
We start the day.
I'm familiar with that part of the area that you're in. I used to also be in the airline industry. So we used to fly to Colorado Springs and Aspen and
Yeah.
that whole area there. So I know how beautiful it is overlooking the mountains there. And the snow is coming down right now.
It is. It is. We have a
So,
good
Mike,
bit.
I just want to say thank you for breaking this down with clarity and honesty. And to our listeners, if this episode helped you see a new way to think about cash flow, please like, subscribe, and share it. Those actions help this message reach people who are actively looking for smarter, simpler ways to build income. Now, you can learn more about Mike Deaton and flipping dirt through the link in the description. And if you're someone who wants clarity before you commit time, money, or energy, explore the clarity system at creativemindsapp.com, because the best investment starts with clear thinking. I'm Derrick Fennell, and this is Next Gen Podcast 1. And until the next time, protect your clarity, simplify your strategy, and build with intention. Thank you, Mike, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Derrick.
All right. Wow, that was great, Mike. That was,
Yeah.
I think that was excellent, and you gave a lot of great information. I'm interested. So
I'll tell you what, it's fascinating
Yeah, I
business
used to- I
model and
used
it's
to-
addictive.
Yeah, I used to flip the housing market, and it was just, I don't know, it's just such a dog world, man. And I just, I
We've
kinda
done a
got
few.
burned. Yeah.
Since we started land, we've tried fix and flips and short-term rentals. We've done multifamily syndications, and
Yeah,
they all come with so much baggage that
Yeah,
we come back to land every time.
I remember I flipped a house one time, and it was a buy as is,
Mhm.
clear buy as is, and the guy, even had have your guy come in and inspect the house, right? So he ended up having to pay more than what my guy estimated it to be in repairs, but hey, you still had your opportunity to do your own due diligence, and was told to bring your own contractor out there. But he made such a big stink about it, and it was just like, hey, you had your opportunity to do your, So I like the land thing,
Yeah.
That sounds, because you can't go
A
wrong
lot
with
simpler.
that.
A lot simpler. Happy to talk to you anytime, man.
Yeah, okay, well, that's cool. So let me ask you one other thing. You ever thought about putting your process in and doing your own podcast?
My wife and I did a podcast a year or two ago, and it was more investing focused.
Mhm.
We were in multifamily syndications at the time, and it was really more geared towards trying to attract investors. But we talk about, it is a great vehicle. It's a lot of work, as you know. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
extra to do it well.
Mhm.
And so, but we talk, it's something we talk about, and something that I enjoyed a lot. I love having these conversations just like you did. I love meeting different people, hearing how they do what they do. It's a great thing. So long answer, yes.
Yeah. Well, the reason I asked is because there's an organization that helped me develop my podcast, and they have a really well-oiled system that, like, they help. I don't chase leads. The leads come to me. They all the back and forth that you were going was with the team, and then they sent it to me, and then it just works very well. And
Okay.
and then they help you learn how to monetize your podcast.
Perfect.
And also they can help you do, like, if you ever want to do a TED Talk, or even take your book.
Social media clips.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about TED Talk.
TED Talk. I thought you said TikTok.
No, TED Talk.
Yeah.
The TED
Okay.
Talk. Yeah. They can get you on a TED Talk stage.
Wow.
They have a full-fledged media company. So what I'd like to do is introduce you to them, and then you guys can talk and see if it makes sense for you.
Sure.
To,
I'd be happy to. Yeah. What's the company?
They're called Project Icon,
Okay.
and the guy's name I'm going to introduce you to, he's out of Canada, Well, it's three of them. Two live in Canada and one lives in Florida. The company is called Project Icon, and they help people develop their podcast, show them how to make sure it gets monetized, and make sure you're getting it to the right marketplace and stuff. And they got a really good system. So what I'll do is I'll make an email introduction, you to Justin and Justin to you, and then you guys can just talk and see, if it makes sense.
Yeah, I'd be happy to chat and see what might happen there.
Okay.
It's an obvious question, but I guess you've been pleased with the service. And are you like cash flow positive out of your podcast? I don't know how you're trying to monetize yours, but.
Well, what I do is I have an AI system. I have what they call the Clarity. You heard me talking about the Clarity system, okay? So what I do is you have businesses that are set up and they've been operational and they've been busy, okay? They've been busy, but they got like a slow leak in their tire, seeping air. They're losing money. They're paying to get the calls to come in. But that one call that they missed because they didn't get back to them timely could have been worth $5,000, $10,000 to them. But they missed it, So I help them identify those areas where what's working, what's not working, and what to do next.
Okay. Yeah.
And so that's what I market, and then I also do the affiliate marketing and stuff like that too, do affiliate marketing and stuff. But my main thing is the Clarity system. So we do Clarity system is kind of like taking your car in for a diagnostic test, okay, to see what's operating properly, what's not working. And if it's really bad, then we'll do a full-blown AI audit of your system. We'll do a full audit of your operational business, okay? And then based on that, you will get a report telling you what's working in the business, what's not working in the business, what to do next, and then recommendations, okay? Those recommendations may have AI systems that need to be installed or adjusted. You can hire us to do it for you, or you can do it yourself, And then if we do it, then we also have a monthly maintenance program to where we make sure that we keep your system optimized to where it's operating to its full capacity.
Okay.
So that's what I do.
Got it.
But
and so you monetize, you get leads coming through your podcast and.
Exactly.
Nice.
So people, So, we talk about clarity, we talk about, so people will see this podcast and they'll want to definitely go to the land thing because you did such a beautiful job in rolling that out, and making it very interesting, and so I definitely.
And as the host, they get to know you at a certain level and a comfort level and trust factor, and then they'll be like, hey,
exactly. Yeah, so it works, and so but they helped me develop that system, because.
Wow. Okay.
I didn't.
Nice.
I've been doing podcasts now for about, I was in the airline. I retired from the airline industry. Okay.
Huh?
Okay. And so I've been doing podcasts now for about 6 months. Okay.
Wow. Okay. Great.
Yeah. And since July, since July, August timeframe, But anyway, they helped me develop my system. They help me, I have a process, and then they help me monetize that process,
Love that. Yeah.
And
great.
So what I'll do is I'll send you an email introducing you to Justin and so forth, and then you guys can go from there. As far as this interview, you will get a YouTube video. You will get the 3 clip snippets that you can use on your own social media. You will get the link for Spotify and Spotify as well as Apple. So you'll be on, on my channel on those.
Yeah, I'll be
So,
sure to promote those once that's out, and I have the links and everything.
Yeah.
We'll put it out to our email and social networks.
Okay. But then, hey, and I'm definitely going to check out your book and go
please
to your
do.
website because that sound, like everybody's like running from California though, so you think
That's the story anyway. Yeah.
yeah, it's so expensive out here.
Yeah.
It really is, but I love it. The weather is. I'm not really a cold weather guy,
Yeah.
but I like getting out riding my bike, on the ocean.
Man,
But yeah,
it's hard to beat that climate.
yeah, but it's so expensive. So I would be interested in it.
The extra
Looking at
income
the
would be helpful.
Yeah. Yeah, and then like you say, I don't have to be in the local market, right?
Nope. There are some good markets in California, but yeah, you definitely don't have to be there.
Some good markets in California, like where?
There's a few popular counties. They don't come to mind. Mendocino maybe and San Bernardino, I think, have some.
Okay, that's not too
They
far.
have a lot of
from
land, and I see a
Yeah.
lot of activity there. I haven't ever personally
here. Yeah.
explored the market, but
It
whenever I
gets
do
hot there
market
in the
research,
summertime. Yeah, it's deserty.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and there's
Yeah.
a market there. People that want
Yeah.
just some
Mhm.
affordable land
yeah,
out in the boondocks where they can shoot their guns and
yeah,
raise their
yeah,
chickens or whatever.
yeah. That's exactly what it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would definitely. I'm gonna check that out, man, because
Yeah, please do.
that's
Happy to.
yeah. Okay. All right, Mike. Well, I'm gonna let you go and do your
Yeah, I got a
thing.
coaching
And
call here in a couple 20 minutes or so, and
okay.
get the fire going
Good.
and enjoy
Yeah,
the
go-
evening with the missus.
Go warm your tea up, some more tea up.
I'm gonna have to do it. Yeah.
Okay.
Right on, buddy.
All right, man.
It was a pleasure.
Take-
Thank you.
Likewise. Thank you. Bye bye.